Hey, hello. This is a somewhat unusual backdoor frontman video here with you tonight in the spooky darkness on account of there was a big storm and it seemed like it knocked down some trees a few blocks from here, and so there's no electricity. It's pretty exciting. Liquor stores seem like they're still running. They got broken into a little while ago at one point, but they're still running. It seemed like they got some battery powered light out front and maybe still selling things to you with cash. Yeah, big storm happened all of a sudden. You could kind of tell it was coming, but then when it hit, it was like a super lot of rain and a lot of wind. Some trees down across the street from me. Just got to see the electric company guys coming around with the spotlight shining at all the transformers, trying to look for anything that was broken. Seemed like maybe they're working a few blocks east of me. Some of the streets are taped off with some yellow tape because there's some trees laying down across the street. Pretty interesting, but it doesn't go very far. Been out for about 2 hours now. So that's somewhat convenient because didn't really have a particular thing I was fixing to talk about today, and I didn't make a video yesterday, but I saw like a possum go across the road. I came out earlier and it was still a little bit daylight, but a weird color. But there was a couple of bats I could tell were flying around. Now I see some people walking a dog. Yeah. I did turn on the CB radio. Suddenly heard a lot of traffic for the first time. Hadn't really heard much at all on that thing, other than that generated by somebody with another CB radio in the same house. But yeah, pretty exciting. So yeah, I did go out and drive around a little bit and check things out. I saw the lightning bugs came out earlier. That was good. Seemed like previous places I lived, they must have sprayed real hard with the pesticides, and so you never saw lightning bugs. But yeah, apparently this place got them. That's good. Maybe I'll go upstairs later and make a baritone saxophone portion for this video, or a tenor saxophone version. This may be my chance to become famous in the neighborhood as a saxophone player. Thought I heard some Mexican music. Maybe there was a mariachi band nearby earlier, but that was probably just a radio. Seemed like a lot of people out sitting in their cars. Probably they're just charging their phones, which was a secondary benefit of my taking the little reconnaissance drive around. Well, looks like tonight maybe I'll get back to that third book in the Insidious Fu Manchu series that I've been in the middle of for a long time and making no progress on. I light up the hurricane lamp and crouch down, huddle up next to that, make some progress on reading through that book. But that's about all I got for right now, so maybe there'll be some more of this video after this point. I got a haircut, so hopefully maybe you can see my new hair. Super tidy and neat and smart looking. Make me look a little less crazy. But yeah, maybe I'll include some footage of exciting book reading footage here shortly in a little bit. Okay, the lack of electricity sort of didn't really contribute to the exciting cinematography in the first portion of the video, so now I'm using this electric battery powered lantern. I'm gonna
drink this beer that I poured out, that I snatched out of the refrigerator really quick on account I didn't want a lot of the coldness to come out of the refrigerator and not get replenished due to the lack of electricity.
Now this is my back porch. I like to relax on out here sometime. Let's see, some lights. There's a solar powered light over there that's on for the time being. It usually doesn't last much later than this, though. There's a edge of the porch. Yep. Still some sort of light bouncing off of the clouds from over on the expressway, the big road. Not a real interstate or anything, but the big road where I can hear people driving around. So there's still some light from over there, because it seemed like the power is not out on the big road or the other side of the big road. So I'm going to turn this light off. Maybe you see some lightning bugs. I guess I don't know where they went. It doesn't seem. Oh, there's some, but it's hard to see. Probably, I don't know. Maybe you could Google some other footage of lightning bugs. But yeah, boy, I hope I get to put this up tonight, because I might not be able to now. I have to do some editing. I guess I also have to have some internet access to distribute this to all the backdoor frontman video fans. Yep, so you can hear some explosions. That's the, oh sorry, there's no light. That's the fireworks. So anyway, now I'm gonna drink that beverage that I poured out earlier, but I can't make this video without good and hold this elaborate lighting contraption here on me, because I need to have a hand to pour. Oh, I think there's a lightning bug inside here. Let me see if I can spin. Can I spin the video camera? No, I cannot. I thought maybe you. Seemed like in the past I one time successfully switched the telephone camera from being pointing in front of me to pointing at me, but I don't appear to be able to do that now. Oh, this dude's maybe trapped in here with me. I don't know. He might be between the ivy that's up and growing on the outside of this. I put it up there. Ooh. Yeah. Yep. He's right up there somewhere. He used to be, but this light probably gonna not be super flattering to him. Whoa, there's been a big development here. Seemed like they got the electricity refixed here over a few blocks away where they're working. So now they got these, you can see more of this porch bag out here. Here's these lights I got out, hanging. I don't know if they're outdoor lights, but I hang in there, and they only cost like $6 to say like the Big Lots or someplace. And so I figured that if they die pretty soon on account of not supposed to be outside, then it's still money well spent because of the festive nature they lend the outdoor area. The light came on back inside there, so it's pretty cool. And now the freezer will be going again, so I don't have to eat up all my ice cream that I got in there tonight before it goes bad. It's gonna get froze up again real good. I heard the sump pump go on, you know, and the good thing was that the sump pump was going pretty good. I'd sit out here on the back porch and you could hear the sump pump going, because it dumps out on the ground right outside by the porch. And that thing was going off of the battery backup. And that kept working, and I was like, well, I guess I wonder how long that battery backup is going to work for that sump pump. And it kept going, but then as soon as the power come back on, and all these festive lights came back on, then I heard a big whoosh out of sump pump water spraying out, and I guess that's probably because the main sump pump came back on because it had electricity. What's the deal there? The main sump pump set up so that when the water in your sump pit gets a certain height,
it triggers the main sump pump, and then that uses electricity coming from your outlet to pump out the water out of the sump pit in the basement. But when this kind of triggered by a thing like in the toilet that shuts off the water spraying into your toilet tank. But when the main one can't go on, there's another one of those trigger things set up at a slightly higher level, and then that goes, it triggers the backup sump pump, which has a battery usually. Apparently this is the first house I lived in that had a sump pump, so pretty fancy. It's got that. But anyway, so then that went on all of a sudden, so that's good. Oh, I was just going to tell you that I mentioned seeing some bats flopping around outside earlier, which is nice, and you know, they probably won't hurt you that much flying around doing their business over your head. But I heard a story one time about a girl in a church, and a bat was inside the building, and it fell down, and she was like, I'm going to help this bat, to put it outside. So she picked it up and was carrying it outside before anybody could do anything and advise her differently. And then the bat bit her a little bit on the hand, and she's like, oh, well, he just probably scared. It's no big thing. Anyway, the result of this story is that she almost died, or maybe she did die, on account of she got rabies from this bat, which she released. So the moral of that is, unless you really know about animals and stuff, probably maybe better to just leave them alone, even if you're trying to be helpful. Also, they didn't take her to the hospital because she didn't feel sick or anything, and plus the bat was already gone, you know. But if they think you maybe got rabies on account of getting bit by a mammal, here's a word of advice: you save the mammal, on account of, if you got the mammal that bit you, they can do a rabies test on it. I think they sort of grinded up its brain and do a test on it, and they can find out authoritatively whether or not this animal that bit you had rabies. But if they don't have the animal and you did go to the doctor early, right after getting bit, then they probably would just say, we have to, out of a reasonable amount of caution, assume that maybe this did have rabies. And so they will assume, I don't know how this is going to look, they will assume that it had rabies, and then give you the rabies vaccination, which is a sequence of multiple, perhaps as many as 6 painful injections into the abdomen. And even Ozzy Osbourne said this is super no fun. So don't mess around trying to help damaged small mammals that might have rabies. If you think you get bit, then maybe you should go to the doctor. And even though the painful abdominal injections are very painful, it's better to get those than to get rabies and not know about it, and months later you almost die on account of rabies. Where's the camera on this? This may be just showing my hand. I'm sorry. So, and also, if you get bit by a mammal, if you can retain that mammal for them to test, then they might be able to rule out that you got rabies by testing the animal that bit you. And that'll work out pretty good for you then. Except, I mean, it doesn't work out that good for the mammal that bit you, on account that they have to totally kill it and grind it up to be able to test it. So I thought maybe I might show you me making some oatmeal on the gas stove, because I realized that the gas stove will still work even if there's no electricity. I just had to light it with the cigarette lighter to make the spark, because there's no electricity to make the spark. But that worked out pretty good, and I made a cup of tea earlier. But I thought maybe I would go in and make some oatmeal with some boiling water on the stove. But now I can, the sky's the limit in terms of the culinary cuisine that I can have for dinner now, apparently, because we have total electricity back on. So, but that would have been, trust me, that would have been some exciting, but arguably spooky cinematography if I had done that, because you'd see the blue flame and the lighting it, and but probably the part where you had to watch me boil the water from scratch, that might not have been the super most exciting portion of it, but you know, the lighting. I thought maybe rather than use the dangerous hurricane lamp to try to read my 70-year-old copy of The Hand of Fu Manchu, that maybe I'd be a little safer, because you only see those hurricane lights usually in movies used, so then they have an excuse to explain why the people burned down the cabin they were hiding in and have to go outside and get murdered. So I'm a little reluctant to use that hurricane lamp unless I'm very confident that I'm not gonna knock it over and burn the house down. But I thought maybe out of like concern for safety, I would just start the burner on the stove. And number one, I make that oatmeal, and then number two, I would just sort of bring in a chair or something and sit right next to the stove and read that novel, that highly flammable novel, using the blue light of the gas flame from the stove. But I guess maybe some things maybe happen for a reason, or maybe they don't. I don't think mostly they do. But so maybe I'll just take it and save that for a future blackout situation. But probably, maybe if you really want to see that, then give me some comments requesting that. But I probably ought to have the internet now, so then I go upstairs and I'll put these 4 to 5 portions of video footage together and then upload it to the YouTube and you can see it. I was a little bit worried about how I would get this video out without the internet or electricity, and I thought maybe I have to put it on a USB stick and put it in a bottle and throw it in the river, and then maybe one person might see it. Maybe I put a note in saying upload it and like tag me or whatever. But yeah, so I'm gonna go make that oatmeal or I do something and then go upstairs and have this video. So all in all, interesting night here. I hope it was an interesting video for you, and just remember, you know, don't mess around with bats that might have rabies.